It's Lana from Sage and Sound here, and this is a short video on the unhelpful thinking style of enough thinking. Enough thinking falls into the values-laden statements, and what that means is that when we use these sorts of phrases, we imply a moral judgment on ourselves. That basically we're saying we're bad, and I guess in the case of something like good enough, we're definitely implying that we're bad. But enough, it applies really generally to good enough, but people use it in almost every context imaginable. So a good enough parent, a good enough partner, a good enough friend. There are so many different ways that we can apply that label of enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough at this thought work business yet. So the list and possibilities are endless, and every time we state that phrase, because it's in that values-laden category, it is making us feel worse. And alongside with should, I think when we're using this phrase, we are thinking that we can motivate ourselves. It's like, if I point out my flaws, I'm going to try harder, do better. And just like we've talked about in other videos, criticizing yourself makes it harder to change. It pops us into the stress response when we are not trying to change behavior. All we care about is getting to a place of safety. So it's not going to work despite what we're telling ourselves. So what does work? The antidote to the enough thought is to answer the question, well, what is enough? And I have to say, whenever I have brought this up with clients, not one single person has ever been able to say to me, if I say, well, what is good enough? Or when would you be smart enough? Where's your cutoff point? When is it enough? Nobody has an answer. We don't know. So we are just using this word it's like beating ourselves with a big stick, basically. And we want to stop that. So we stop it by starting to specify what is enough. When will I be smart enough, for example? So eventually you start to come up with a list of answers, and once you've got that list, it will change the way that you interact with the thought. There's a few different things that can happen. So one is that when you write the list, you see that it's completely unrealistic. So if I was smart enough, I would never make another mistake ever again. Yeah, pretty unlikely. And we definitely would see that other smart people make mistakes, and yet we still think of them as smart as well. So sometimes just the act of writing the list, seeing that our expectations on ourselves are quite unrealistic, can be enough to help people let go of that thought. But the other thing that can happen is you write the list and it's not overly unrealistic, and you realize, I've actually done all these things. I am smart enough. I've got a degree, I've progressed in my career. Sure, I make a few mistakes, but that's not what classifies a smart person from a dumb one. And then you can just let go of the thought completely. You'll have a new thought because you sat down and looked at the evidence. So it's pretty exciting. And the third thing that can happen is that you write a similar kind of list. It's not unrealistic. But you realize that you're not meeting the criteria. You're actually not happy with the level of success you've got in a particular area. That is fine, because now we have a list of specific things that you can work on. It's no longer, I'm not smart enough, it's, I really need to get that university degree finished. It's hanging over my head. And so then that can motivate you to take action. And having a specific goal in mind, I'm going to finish this university course, is much more motivating than when you are saying to yourself, oh, you're just not smart enough, which has that negative judgment attached to it. Also has a secondary problem that smart is a really internalized way of talking to ourselves. We think of ourselves like smart or not, whereas a university degree, I cannot have that and then I can get one of those. It's, again, much more achievable and realistic. So If you are someone that tends to beat yourself up with that enough stick, we do want to change that. Your first step is to write the list, see which of the 3 categories you fall into, and then take the appropriate steps. And before you know it, you're going to be using that word less, and you are going to feel better about yourself. Totally worth doing that work. So I hope you liked this video and that you found it useful. If you would like more information like this, easiest thing to do is just sign up to our newsletter list. Link is in the comments, because it just means that you get this automatic, easy access straight into your inbox. Watch it when you want, never miss another tip again, access to all our info. All right, take care of yourself, and we'll talk again soon.